types of death matches that exist. On this episode, let's talk about Taipei death matches. You're probably thinking, girl, what the fuck is a Taipei death match? Well, you know how wrestlers, they wrap up their tape, to get ready for their match, right? Well, when you do a Taipei death match, there's an extra step after you tape your wrist and your fist. They then put glue or some type of adhesive on the backs of their wrists and fist tape. And then after that, submerge their hands into broken glass. Yeah, all for the sake of cutting up the other opponent. And honey, from the ones I've seen, fuck, are they bloody. It's a lot. After doing some extensive research, I want to know when the first Taipei death match ever was. And it ended up being in 1995 in ECW. So I would like to know, have you ever seen a Taipei death match, whether it be at a live event? Have you seen one in person? Have I scared you away from Deathmatch Wrestling? I hope I haven't, even though it's very, very bloody. But let me know what type of death match that you'd like me to talk about next, because this is really fun for me. Okay, thanks, bye. Welcome back to Types of Death Matches That Exist. You voted, so on this episode, we'll be talking about fire death matches. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory, right? It's where the whole ring is surrounded by fire while opponents are supposed to fight each other. Practically hell on earth. After doing some extensive research, I found out when the first ever fire death match was. It led me to an event on Frontier Martial Arts Wrestling as Tarzan Goto and now legend Atsushi Onita took on the Sheik and homicidal, suicidal, genocidal Sabu, which took place May 6th, 1992. Now, mind you, this was Onita's idea. Now, the ropes were replaced with barbed wire because, the fire just wasn't enough. And on all sides of the rope were petrol-soaked towels in the middle. Thankfully, the mats on the inside of the ring were covered in water for obvious reasons. As all four competitors came in, the soaked towels were lit and the match commenced. Not for long, because it didn't take no time for all four men and the referee to escape the ring and continue the match on the outside. Simply put, the match was too hot and too dangerous. At one point, the match just kind of ended and everyone, including fans, helped any way they could to put out the fire. Another fire death match that I cannot go without mentioning is the first one that ever took place at Wing. Mr. Pogo took on none other than Mitsuhiro Matsunaga, and both these guys were already making a huge name for themselves in the Japanese deathmatch scene. This match took place August 2nd, 1992. I was barely a week old. Now this one was a little bit different as the fire took place a little more outside of the ring, but there was no ropes at all. Instead, they had these fuckers placed on the turnbuckles, pretty much going off in time release. Although the match was equally insane, it was deemed a little bit more manageable as they were actually to finish the match. And Mitsuhiro Matsunaga picked up a well-deserved victory. One more worth mentioning happened almost exactly 8 years later on August 6, 2000, as Team CZW, John Zandig and Nick Gage took on Team Big Japan Pro Wrestling, Jun Kasai, and none other than Mitsuhiro Matsunaga, which was a 2 out of 3 falls fire death match. This was closer to the concept that they did in FMW, where they had the soaked towels in the middle of the ropes in the ring. Still crazy though, because at one point they even set part of the ring on fire. Thankfully, unlike the one on FMW, the fire did start to die down as the match continued. That didn't stop the intensity though, as there was barbed wire, bats, cars, big rigs, tables, high-flying dangerous maneuvers. Ultimately, Team CZW won. Nowadays, I don't really see a lot of fire as the main stipulation in a death match, but it does add a little flavor to a lot of regular death matches. And we can't forget this Inferno match that happened in 2021 in WWE with Randy Orton going against The Fiend. That wraps it up for fire death matches. I know this one was a little bit longer, but I had a lot to tell you guys. Stay tuned for next week as I talk about barefoot thumbtack matches. Okay, thanks, bye! Welcome back to another episode of Types of Death Matches That Exist. On this episode, we'll be talking about barefoot thumbtack matches. I mean, again, we have another pretty self-explanatory match. It's where both competitors are barefoot and there's a container with thousands of thumbtacks in which they can walk in, throw their opponent in, do a bunch of shit in. So the idea for this death match actually originated in Big Japan Pro Wrestling And after doing some research, I found out that one of the very first barefoot thumbtack death matches happened in Big Japan Pro Wrestling, May 27th, 2001. And it was between none other than Mitsuhiro Matsunaga and Jun Kasai. Now, this definitely isn't the first time these two have been barefoot in a death match together before. As a matter of fact, they had one with light twos, just as dangerous. But you can find that one on YouTube. Unfortunately, with this barefoot thumbtack match, though, I wasn't able to find it on YouTube, but it is in the Big Japan Pro Wrestling Blood and Death History DVD set. So, yeah, if you want to check it out, you got to go there. Another barefoot thumbtack death match worth mentioning took place June 3rd, 2006 at IWA Mid-South for King of the Deathmatches 6, Night 2, and it was between J.C. Bailey and Drake Younger. Y'all, you can find this one on YouTube, and it's fucking disgusting. It's bad. But if you're a little weirdo like me, you'll probably love it. Although both men went through hell and back with each other with thumbtacks and glass decorating their feet, J.C. Bailey was able to win, therefore being able to advance into the next round of the tournament. That concludes this episode of Types of Death Matches that exist for you guys this week. And make sure you stay tuned in for my poll to help me choose what to talk about these upcoming weeks. Trust me, you're gonna love these subjects. Okay, thanks, bye. Welcome back to Types of Death Matches that exist. On this episode, we'll be talking about the Big Japan Crisis Death Match. And trust me, if you have anxiety just hearing the title, you're gonna have more anxiety hearing about what the fuck entailed in this match. Obviously, this being the brainchild of Big Japan Pro Wrestling, this match actually took place May 1st, 1998. Now, the actual true name for this match was the Wing Crisis BJW Big Born Death Match. That's a fucking mouthful. And this actually happened to be an 8-man tag match from men from Wing as well as Big Japan. Now, some of the elements in this match are fucking nuts. I mean, there's barbed wire boards, thumbtacks, a bed of nails, a circus-style scaffold into a barbed wire trampoline. We have a tub of scorpions, cactus plants, light bulbs, firestones, dry ice, barbed wire bats, all of Mr. Pogo's weapons, drills, knives, buzzsaws, and it was also a street fight on top of that. Oh, and ways for you to win this match is to either make someone submit, put someone's head into the scorpion tub for 10 seconds, or make them pass out. Yeah. And yes, you little sickos, you can watch this match on YouTube, but fair warning, this match is fucking nuts. It's one of those matches where they really wanted to put the death in deathmatch. Ultimately, the winners of this match were Shoji Nakamati, Mitsuhiro Matsunaga, Jason the Terrible, and the Masked GK. I swear, the amounts of pain that people go through for our viewing pleasure is beyond me. That concludes this episode of Types of Death Matches that exist. Stay tuned for next time, as we're going to talk about all walks of land and sea that have had their part in death matches. Stay tuned for the madness. Okay, thanks, bye. Warning, the following video features dangerous actions performed by professionals. The purpose of this is to entertain and educate you through the many styles of deathmatch and should not be repeated. Please, don't do this shit. This contains blood, violence, and isn't for the weak of heart or stomach. Viewer discretion is advised. Hey guys, welcome back to Types of Death Matches that exist. On episode 5, we'll be talking about when animals attack. For some reason, Big Japan Pro Wrestling had a real kick for wanting to use animals as a special stipulation in their death matches, primarily in the 90s. Although there were no animals harmed in the making of these death matches, the humans involved definitely were. Now, these 3 matches that I'm talking about have a couple things in common. 1, it took place in Big Japan Pro Wrestling, and 2, Mitsuhiro Matsunaga had a part of it. Starting with the infamous Piranha Death match that took place August 6, 1996, and he had this match against one of the founders of BJPW, none other than Kendo Nagasaki. The stipulation was there was no pinfall or submission, but you had to hold your opponent 10 seconds submerged in a piranha tank. Now, although it was a very brutal match, it wasn't a very long match. It was really scary, especially seeing Matsunaga's blood trickle over in the water with all the piranhas in there. It's like, ew. Ultimately, Matsuga wasn't able to hold himself up any longer, and Kendo Nagasaki was able to win, submerging him into the piranhas. Then, just a few months later, Matsuga was able to find himself again with wildlife, but this time in a desert death match with Shoji Nakamaki that took place November 20th, 1996. Paired with cacti and boards with barbed wire, the stipulation was very similar to the piranha death match, but this time you had to be held for 10 seconds in a tank of scorpions. It was another very brutal match, probably my favorite of the three, and the crowd was very entertained. Sadly, Matsuga lost once again and even had to go to the hospital after this match. Finally, a few months shy of about 2 years later, was one of the most iconic animal matches, as it even had its own DVD. The Big Japan Crocodile Death Match took place September 23rd, 1998. And of course, Mitsuhiro Matsuga was in it, as well as Shadow WX. So the deal was, these two were going to have themselves a good old death match, and whoever lost this match was going to fight an alligator. Well, crocodile, you know what I mean. Spoiler alert, the match prior to the crocodile fight was actually more entertaining. I mean, thank God. I didn't want anyone to fucking die or anything, but let me explain. I mean, this match took place inside the ring, in the arena. I mean, there was deathmatch goodies everywhere, and these men put each other through hell. Unfortunately, Matsuga lost once again and had to fight this cute baby crocodile. All he had to do to get a victory was to put a lead on this cute little crocodile, put it back in the tank, and then he was able to be victorious. But you guys can see why this really doesn't happen much anymore. Just because they're wildlife does not mean that they're that wild. That is all I have for this episode, and make sure to stay tuned for my TikTok for my poll for what we're going to talk about next. Honey, with these options I gave you, you're going to have a hard time choosing. See you next time, you little weirdos. Okay, thanks, bye. Warning, this here video features dangerous action performed by professionals. The purpose of this video is to entertain and educate you through the many styles of deathmatch and should not be repeated. Please don't do this shit. This contains blood, violence, and isn't for the weak of heart or stomach. Viewer discretion is advised. Well, howdy, folks. I heard that you're a fan of some deathmatch wrestling, so that's why I'm here today. And welcome back to Types of Death Matches That Exist. Today, how fitting, we'll be talking about the Circus Death Match. Now, don't let that name fool you. You're not going to find any clowns or peanuts or popcorn anywhere in this place. Now, this was the original setup for the first ever circus death match created in Big Japan Pro Wrestling. It is pretty much where a scaffold goes across the ring and there's barbed wire underneath it. Well, the first one that ever took place, which was, the picture that you had first seen, took place January 6, 1997 in Big Japan Pro Wrestling, where Mitsuhiro Matsunaga, which, by the way, he created this match, him and Great Kojika took on Shoji Nakamaki and Ryuji Yamakawa. Now, this is the only picture I could legally show you without getting in trouble here on this app. With this being the first ever one, they had a few kinks they had to work out. Pretty much, they thought that once they fell into it, they had to cut all the barbed wire away because they couldn't get themselves out. The next one that ever happened, y'all should recognize because I did a video on this weeks ago, talking about the Big Born death match in Big Japan Pro Wrestling, which this featured a circus death match as well as barbed wire boards, electrified fluorescent light tube boards, dry ice, a cactus, scorpions, fuck. However, I will say starting, February 22nd, 2003, where they had the circus death match in IWA Mid-South. This is where they started to modernize the circus death match a little bit and made it less complicated, as this had the scaffold outside of the ring as opposed across the ring. But as you can see, the death match variation had changed throughout the years. Even some where they first started fighting underneath the barbed wire and they even had light tubes on top. Also, can't forget CZW's variation of the circus death match, where it was an actual tangled web. And not only it was one ring, but two rings of carnage and bullshit. One ring was caged all around as the other one had been full of barbed wire and a scaffold on the other side. See? Well, that concludes this week's episode. And I will say I will not be around next week because I have some top secret clown business that I will be taking care of. But I hope you enjoyed, and I can't wait to talk to you more about Deathmatch Wrestling. Okay, thanks, bye. Warning, the following video features dangerous actions performed by professionals. The purpose of this is to entertain and educate you to the many styles of deathmatch and should not be repeated. Please don't do this shit. This contains blood, violence, and isn't for the weak of heart or stomach. Viewer discretion is advised. Oh, and happy Halloween, bitches. Hello, and welcome to the two-part Halloween special of Types of Deathmatch That Exist. We'll be talking about the House of Horrors Deathmatch. And oh yes, my pet, it sounds just as scary as you think it is. So this is the internet definition of a House of Horrors Deathmatch. The House of Horrors match was something created by the IWA Mid-South promotion, and it was a stipulation for most of the finals in the King of the Death match. And this is where a cage is placed around the ring and light tubes are hung from the ceiling for anyone to use, therefore calling it a House of Horrors. However, one of the most iconic ones happened almost exactly 23 years ago, October 27, 2001, where me, Nick Cage, and Corporal Robinson had a House of Horrors deathmatch. Although with this one, instead of having a cage around the ring, the ropes were wrapped in barbed wire. You know, just to make it a little more fun. A little more dangerous, if you will, babe. And yes, you sickos, you can watch this on YouTube on the IWA Mid-South YouTube channel. Well, this was a short one, but I hope you enjoyed it. There was a lot of carnage and cool shit in it. And, you know, the queen of extreme hosting today. Happy Halloween, you sickos. Okay, thanks, bye. Warning, the following video features dangerous actions performed by professionals. The purpose of this video is to entertain and educate you through the many styles of deathmatch and should not be repeated. Please don't do this shit. This contains blood, violence, and isn't for the weak of heart or stomach. Your discretion is advised. What's up, you guys? Long time no see. Welcome back to Types of Deathmatches That Exist. On this episode, we'll be talking about the first ever gusset plate deathmatch. And some of you may not know what a gusset plate is. That is okay, I got you. It's that. And it really hurts. It's used for construction to hold shit together. It also happens to be one of my favorite weapons in a death match. So it took place in CZW at New Heights in 2011. It was between Masada and Danny Havoc, and it was for the ultraviolent underground championship. And it took place in Viking Hall. EC Dub. And here it was. By the way, you can watch this whole match on Blake 0561's YouTube channel. Freaking love that. Anyway, you get that gorgeous shot of all the gusset plates. And then you get to see Masada and Danny Havoc come out. And honestly, it's just so iconic and fucking disgusting. Danny Havoc was the current champion, which obviously means Masada was getting a shot at this title. So you know both men were going to go balls to the walls, and they sure the fuck did. But then one of the most iconic moments that happened in the match was when Danny Havoc hit Masada with part of a broken gusset plate board, and, well, you'll see. And instantaneously, Masada starts bleeding. Don't worry, you'll get to see it again. You can see it just splash up. Bam! So, as you can tell, pretty brutal match. And it ended with a new Ultraviolet Underground champion as Masada walked out strong. And there was a lot of praise to Danny Havoc afterwards, as one should, because it's Danny fucking Havoc. Anyway, I hope that wasn't too much for you. I hope I don't get in trouble for putting it up. But yeah, that is it for this week. Hopefully you enjoy it, and next week I'm gonna just come up with some more shit. I think we're on episode 10 next week. Either 10 or 11. Anyway, I hope you've been enjoying this series, and I can't wait to show you more. Okay, thanks, bye. Well, I am glad to see so many nice new faces here as we start this semester's Types of Deathmatches That Exist. This is the first class. Welcome, welcome. So today, class, our subject will be talking about the 1000 Carpet Stroke Supremacy Deathmatch. Now, there has been quite a few instances where carpet strips have been used in death matches. For example, Drake Younger versus Danny Havoc, and even as recent as Louis Jr. going against Hardcore. But there's never been anything that was a full dedication to just carpet strips. Now, before this one that happened this year on March 8th, I'm going to tell you about one that happened almost 10 years ago in Vicious Outlaw Wrestling, if I'm not mistaken. This death match was called a carpet strip prison death match, and it was with Adam Bueller going against Devin Moore. It was almost the same type of concept if you had used like a bunch of light tubes. I mean, they had it around the ring, there was a bunch of loose ones, and as well as they had like gusset plates and other stuff as well. Now let's talk about the match at hand, the 1000 Carpet Strip Supremacy Death Match. During the Hell Comes to Williamstown event for H2O Wrestling, Neil Diamond Cutter defended his Danny Havoc World Hardcore Championship on the line against none other than JB Anderson. Now, you might be wondering, oh, was it exactly 1000 carpet strips? That's never the case. When they say, 1000 light tubes, there's usually about like 250 and they just lie. Well, I'm going to put up a couple slides for you, class, and you can decide if that was a lie. Oh, yeah. And that. Needless to say, it was a very memorable match as well as a very historic match as well. A lot of firsts in that match, especially with it being exactly 1000 carpet strips in that match. And that is why JB Anderson has been given the nickname of the 61,000 Nail Baddie as well as the Prince of Strips. And you can bet your sweet ass this wasn't the last time that the Hardcore Hoochie Daddy used carpet strips in a match. He actually recently had a match with Dr. Redacted on ICW No Holds Barred, and there was a lot of fucking carpet strips in that match too. But JB Anderson is nothing short of promising and an amazing part within the deathmatch community, and I loved doing this class showcasing how fucking awesome he is and how cool this carpet strip shit is because he's really honed it into his own. Oh, looks like time's up. Thank you for joining me today, class. I know it was a lot of fun. Just come here next week and we'll talk about something else, okay? Thank you so much for coming to the first class of the second semester of Types of Death Matches That Exist. Thank you so much for the amazing response to the hype video that I made for it. And if you enjoyed this, I would love for you to leave a comment and spread the news too because everyone should know more about Deathmatch Wrestling. Okay, thanks, bye. Hey class, glad y'all got the memo for Comfy Day. But welcome back to class 2 of Types of Death Matches That Exist. Class, today we're going to be talking about something that literally happened this year, which is the Taipei Duck Death Match. Now, if you guys do remember last semester, we did talk about, actually on episode or class 1 of Types of Death Matches That Exist, about the Taipei Death Match. But if you do not remember what it is, allow me to explain. Essentially what a Taipei Death Match is, two opponents, they wear wrist tape along their hands and wrists, and with an adhesive side, they put their hands down in broken glass and beat the fuck out of each other. But for today's match that we'll be talking about, we'll be bringing it down under. So this brainchild was an idea during the Deathmatch Down Under and ICW No Holds Barred collab show called Poor Decisions. And it happened this year on August 31st of 2025. And it featured Terry Shaw and Vixen. Now these two have done this deathmatch song and dance quite a few times, but this was the first time with this pretty shucky ducky stipulation. As you can see, class, the main difference is not only was there glass that you could have on the back of your wrist, but rubber duckies. And as silly as this match sounded, clearly, as you can see with how these two fight each other, they definitely were not ducking around. Get it? Ducks. Now, I'm almost positive Vixen won that one, but if you guys want to check this match out and maybe watch it with me, it should be available on IWTV already, and if it isn't, it should be very, very soon. As well as all of Deathmatch Down Under's catalog, so if you want some ultraviolence from Down Under, you should check them out. Well, I know today was a short class, but I hope you learned a little more about Deathmatch Down Under, as well as two Australian deathmatch stars that I really, really love, and you should check out as well. Oh, shit, there goes the bell, just in time. So thank you so much for showing up today, and I will see you next week for Class 3 as we talk about the Dry Ice Deathmatch. Thank you so much for voting on the poll, and stay tuned for next week for the poll for the 2 weeks after. Until next time, okay, thanks, bye. And welcome back to Class 3 of Types of Death Matches That Exist. Today's class, we will be talking about the Dry Ice Death Match. This is a very chilly, very dangerous thing to fuck around with, and here is why. Don't say I never actually taught you anything, because dry ice is the solid form of carbon dioxide, and it remains frozen at like a negative 109 degrees Fahrenheit. Negative 109. Think about that. As you can see, this is the shit that it's actually used for, like shipping and cooling, special effects for fog. And if you'd like to pause and take a look why dry ice is so dangerous to touch in general, and that's why you need gloves to handle it, you can't even handle the touch of it on it for literally more than 2 seconds. Okay, back to normal class. So the first time we actually really saw dry ice within a death match was over in Japan for the Crisis Big Born death match. And if you remember, for last season of types of death matches that exist, we talked about that match, and there was so much shit there. It was literally like a circus death match with dry ice, scorpions, fucking you name it. And for a long while, we really didn't see like a whole lot of use where that was the actual main stipulation of the death match. However, we gotta talk about someone who really honed it into their own with using it in a lot of their death matches. I feel like you can't mention dry ice without at least mentioning once or twice about Marcus Crane. And one of the first times we really had it like full-blown use in the States, if I'm not mistaken, was Marcus Crane going against Reed by God Bentley at GCW's Bloodlust, September 18th, 2016. As you can see, there was a lot going on within the deathmatch too, like, barbed wire board and stuff like that, but the main stipulation was it was a dry ice deathmatch. This was another match that Marcus Crane had against Dysfunctional with a dry ice coffin. And as you can see, since then, we have had other instances where death matches have used dry ice. We've even had as recently as ICW No Holds Barred. During their July 18th show, NHB 80, all of the death matches had a really cool stipulation, and how fitting that Reed by God Bentley was to have a dry ice death match against the ultraviolent enforcer, Bobby Beverly. Oh shit, well there's a bell. Thank you so much for joining me this week, class. Sorry, again, I was a day late, but I hope you enjoyed learning not only about the dry ice death match and some of the people who have brought it to the States, but how dangerous dry ice really is. Don't fuck with it. For next week, we'll be going on a field trip. So everyone pass out the permission slips. Don't do last minute while you're just gonna fucking forget. Cause, alright, I might let you sneak and just come on, but like, don't fucking tell. Yes, class, we'll be going to Houston, motherfucking Texas, to the deep in the heart of deathmatch shows, starring the brands from Local Wrestling, X-Brand Wrestling, and New Fear City. We're gonna have so many surprises. I'm so excited to be there, and I hope to see you guys there. Until next time, class. Okay, thanks, bye. Welcome back to Class 4 of Types of Death Matches that Exist. I will be making it up to you because, class, we are talking about today the no rope barbed wire death match. Oh yeah. Now, in case if some of you aren't aware, there is a difference between a barbed wire match where the barbed wire is placed strategically all over most of the sides of the ring on the ropes, and a no rope barbed wire match. With a no rope barbed wire match, it's pretty self-explanatory. There's no ropes and it's replaced with barbed wire. It's also fitting to mention the exploding version of a barbed wire death match because it's pretty much the same thing except for there's little bitty explosives that are placed within the barbed wire ropes, and if literally someone brushes against it like ever so slightly, you're gonna get popped. Now, make sure you have your snack, your drink, maybe your blinker ready, because we're gonna talk about the history of this match and where it began. This idea originated in Japan, more specifically under the promotion Frontier Martial Arts Wrestling, or FMW. And it was the brainchild of none other than Atsushi Onita. Obviously, y'all know I was going to figure out when the first ever one was, as well as the history-making no-rope barbed wire matches that literally made it possible for people to love it so much today within the deathmatch community. The first ever one took place August 4th, 1990, between none other than Atsushi Onita and Tarzan Goto. When it comes to the history of this type of match, you can't go without talking about one of the most iconic ones that happened within FMW, which was the tag team match with Atsushi Onita and Tarzan Goto going against Sabu and the Sheik in that fire death match. More specifically, it was a no-rope barbed wire tornado fire death match. Say that 5 times fast, I dare you. And if you saw last year's classes, you know that we talked about this particular match quite a bit. Another iconic match that was in the finals of the IWA Japan King of the Deathmatch tournament in 1995 was between Mick Foley, also known as Cactus Jack, going against Terry Funk. And this was the finals within the first ever type of deathmatch tournament ever. And the fact that it was a no-rope barbed wire match is even more iconic. Speaking of iconic, we can't talk about no-rope barbed wire death matches without bringing up the first ever women's one, which was between Megumi Kudo versus Combat Toyota. And this was during the 7th anniversary of FMW. The FMW Independent and WWA Women's Championships were on the line, And this happened to be the match where Megumi Kuda won and ended up retiring Combat Toyota. Obviously, we can't talk about a no rope barbed wire death match without the ones that happened within the States. And one of the people who really made it into his own, which was none other than Sabu. And one of the first ones that actually ever happened in ECW was August 9th, 1997 for Born to be Wired. And this was for the ECW World Heavyweight Championship where Sabu went against Terry Funk. This was also where that like really yucky spot where Sabu tore his fucking bicep. I mean, really, really sick match. Ever since then, so many other people have done a no rope barbed wire match, and even Sabu's last match with Joey Janela at the Joey Janela Spring Break 9 was a no rope barbed wire death match. I mean, it's one of the most iconic stipulations, for a match in whole. Well, there goes the bell. Thank you so much for coming back to class and enjoying this little history lesson on the no rope barbed wire death match. Let me know, what matches would you like to know about? But until next time, class, okay, thanks, bye.